Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to this week's episode of The Knife Guy. So what are we talking about today? Today is something that absolutely everybody who has ever been interested in buying a pocket knife can relate to. There's a few things that can happen, when something becomes popular, right? It becomes popular because a lot of people like it. That's just, that goes without saying, right? Say something can't be popular unless a lot of people like it, right? Some people say, things become popular because people like you scream about them. Kind of, but that, I don't like that. I don't like to put so much weight on people like me, because that makes, everybody who likes knives just sound like robotic, like they just automatically agree with what every person on YouTube or Instagram or wherever, whatever they say is good, they just automatically agree. And I would say that's definitely not the case. I have absolutely celebrated certain things on this channel and seen the exact opposite response in my comment section. People 100% think for themselves, right? I mean, if I go out of my way and I buy something and I say, I love this, this is absolutely, the quality's there, blah, 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 this is catered to my specific taste, etc., right? And then people are like, wow, maybe it's really good, I'll go ahead and take a chance on it. And a lot of times what I hear is, yeah, the quality's there, but I just freaking hate the knife. That's cool that you like it, but I think I'm going to let this one go. That happens sometimes, right? I see that all the time. It tells me, the people who watch my content will not always agree with me. The people who watch anybody's content will not 100% agree with everybody else, and that's good, right? I mean, I think that's healthy. It would be really bad if everyone was like, yes, tell us what to buy next, please tell, that's just not what happens. You get a general idea, right? Go around, see what other people think, check other channels, check forums, right? It doesn't have to be an influencer, it doesn't have to be a YouTuber, it doesn't have to, you can, get that information from them, and then you can also compare and contrast with what other people are saying, Discord servers, etc. I think that's a good way to do that. And then ultimately, when you get it, you decide for yourself, right? Okay, we get it. What's the point? There are lots of things in this knife world that were already popular well before I ever handled it. And then when I got it in hand, I was like, yeah, this is good. I do like this, right? For example, like the Benchmade Griptilian. I remember going, people seem to like the Griptilian. It looks pretty good. I will get one. And then I got one and I thought, I like this. This is an accurate, like what people are saying is accurate. Everything that I have heard about this, now having handled it, I just have I'm having an experience that is equivalent to what the vast majority of people are explaining they have. Sometimes people say, hey, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's a good knife. And I get it, and it blows my mind. Wow! It's way better. Why aren't people celebrating? This is underrated, right? People should be, really freaking out about this. I think it's way better, right? And then sometimes it's a wildly popular knife, and I get really worked up. And then I get it, and I'm like, this is stupid. Why? I don't like it, right? Thanks. I hate it. We have definitely talked about this before, but it's such a good topic. It's such a relatable thing, right? We've all experienced that. If you've ever bought, I don't know, most people watching, I would say, have probably bought at least 3 pocket knives in their lifetime, right? And I would say there's a 30% chance there that amidst those 3, this is bare minimum, one of them you were like, I think I will like this. Oh no, I do not, right? I mean, it's just as simple as that. And I think a huge chunk of you buy lots and lots of knives, right? So you get built up, then you get it, and then blah. I think I think this might actually have the same title as one of my other Knife Guy episodes, but it's like I said a long time ago, it's worth bringing some of these topics back up, even if it is exactly the same thing, because I like to re-explore it, comparing and contrasting my thoughts now versus, However long how long have we been doing Knife Guy? 3-4 years? We're almost at 200 episodes. It's crazy. Give us some examples. Okay. I'll give you an example of a knife that I was like, yeah, it'll probably be kind of like, a generic, like I don't love it, like just looking at the picture, but I'll get it in hand and go, yeah, that's pretty good. Benchmade bug out. So there was the expectation. I got it and I hated it, because of the Grivery scales. Absolutely hated it. Had to put titanium on it. Now that it's got titanium on it, which really doesn't change the balance all that much, and it doesn't increase the weight to the point where, like, some people are going to be like, well, actually, since it defeats the purpose of the design because you increase the weight by 0.4 ounces. Shut up. That doesn't change anything. I mean, that's my opinion. You can think that, right? But that's what you sound like in my head. God, this guy's a jerk. Man, he's mean. He makes up voices for us in his head. So that's what happened. So I put titanium on it, right? Here's an example of a knife that I was like, I bet I will hate that. And then I got it. And I was like, yup, right? Wildly popular. We're still on the topic of wildly popular knives. Everybody knows this. The Opinel. But complex. If you've never, ever heard me talk about this knife, and you're thinking, I bet I can change him. He just doesn't know. He needs to know the benefit of the Opinel. Save it. I despise, with a burning rage, I despise the Opinel, right? Yes, economic, good cutting geometry, right? It has a rich history, etc. I'm really happy for the company, and I am certain that they will continue to succeed with or without my praise, right? They do not care that I exist. They do not care whether I like or dislike the knife. Their company will continue to do what it does, which is succeed without... My existence means nothing, right? I feel completely and totally free to hate this and continue to hate it. I just do. Why do you hate it? It is so unbelievably boring. As a knife enthusiast, I really don't want to carry around a handle-shaped cork with a blade in my pocket. The amount of time it takes to open this knife, it's enough time for multiple industrial revolutions to happen, right? I can grow 500 mustaches before I get the blade out, right? The box will disintegrate before I get the blade out to cut it. Cliffs will erode. Mainlands will flood before I get the Opinel out. I feel like I need to have a quill to write with if I'm going to carry this around in my pocket, right? I feel like my main means of transportation is by horse, right? Or by buggy. Horse buggy. Horse, is that what you... The cart that the horse pulls the cart? Yeah, we get it. I don't like it. I don't like that knife. I don't care. I'll tell you what. You give me your most potent argument right down in the comment section, and then I will read it. And then I will continue to hate the Opinel anyway. I'm just trying to make you guys laugh. Don't get riled up. Now, let me give you an example of a knife that I thought I would love. And I absolutely hated it. I don't hate it. It's fine, right? I shouldn't say I hate it. I just didn't, there was no spark whatsoever. Like you get like this has been a long time. It's been a long time since I've been on a date. I've been married for a long time. But I think a lot of us know what it's like to be excited to go on a date, and then you go, and it's not that there's something wrong with that person or wrong with you. It's that there was no chemistry, right? It's not like they should change to be more compatible with you, or you should change to be more compatible with them, that's what we do as human beings. There isn't compatibility because you're different people, right? I realize that the analogy that I'm giving here suggests that my experience with this knife was, in my mind, a date, and that's weird. So I'm sorry. I should have led with a different analogy. What is he on? Monster. I always right before every Knife Guy, it doesn't change my personality. It just gives me more energy. But I try to drink like 3/4 of a Monster before I start talking. Yeah, so anyways, the knife, and I'm sure a lot of you know. You know before I'm going to say it. The knife, and a lot of, if you haven't heard me say this, it's going to shock you. This is the reason I do not have one in my collection. The knife, oh wait, hold on. The most beautiful one I've ever seen, Scott sent me. Hold on. I should have had this ready for the video. Hold on. Nope. Oh. Scott. There it is. This is the most beautiful version of this knife that I have ever seen. And I appreciate the work that went into this. But the design itself is not for me. And that knife is the Sebenza. I don't like this knife. Now, this version is absolutely gorgeous. This is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And appreciating the work that went into something versus enjoying the design as a whole are two different things. I obviously respect the craftsmanship that goes into Chris Reeve knives because I own an Zahn. Now, granted, that one was given to me as a gift, but I said many times, the Zahn is a wonderful knife, and as soon as I get a chance to get my hands on one, I'm going to get it. And Scott and some other people got me one, which is fantastic. I love that knife. I love the Zahn, right? People say, they're not that much different. Oh, but they are. They are. This design, to me, the Sebenza, is just kind of a dud. It's just kind of, when you got a firework, that one that you picked out because it was called like Abraham Lincoln Cartwheel Ninja Surprise, 10,000. It's weird. A firework packaging is so funny. It's just absolutely insane. It's just supposed to it's painting part of a picture, and then they leave you up to interpret the rest, and you're like, wow, I bet that explodes a lot. I don't know what does it do? I don't understand. There are pictures of there's a Ferris wheel on it, and there's a bunch of babies, and also there's a cornucopia, and then a guy giving a thumbs up, right? It's Matt Damon is on the front giving you a thumbs up, and you're like, I guess, okay, $79.95. Okay, I'll take that one. It looks like it explodes a lot, right? Something must happen, and then it just goes. So many fireworks do that, and you're like, is that what was supposed to happen? Is that what it was designed to do? And everybody goes, oh. After you wait, you wait a sec to see is there a finale, and you realize, no, it's just one of those things that just was like a hissy fountain for a while, and absolutely nothing happened. That is a lot like my experience with the Sebenza. I don't know why. Because I can't say that it's just the minimalist. A lot of people say, oh, well, it's just minimalist, and you've become this weird, this connoisseur of weird things, and you've become really snobby, and so you don't appreciate minimalist designs anymore. Incorrect. It's not that. I don't know. It's a combination of a lot of things, right? I think, one of the things that I don't like as much about Chris Reeve knives is how, people call it, oh, well, the action's hydraulic. I use that too. But it's also a fancy way of saying this knife opens really slowly, right? That combined with, the really plain handles that are not contour, they're just flat, really plain blade, simple, uncomfortable opening mechanism, right? The thumb studs, it's like the hinder or flipper tab. You can defend it all you want, but the truth is that it sucks, right? It just does. The hinder or flipper, I used to be like, well, if you get it at the right, but really, eventually had to buck. I was like, well, yeah, it does. I guess it does. It just sucks. The thumb studs on the Sebenza suck, right? That and the bead blasting, and then it's just, there's not a redeeming factor there for me. And there's so much blah that I can't lock in on something that I really appreciate. And the things that are good about it are not enough for me to want to, right? What's your point? Great, you don't like it, right? As you sit there and flip your Sebenza, that's the knife you chose to flip, and you're listening, you're like, screw you, Complex, you jerk, I like this. That's fine. You should continue to like it. Because again, what I like or don't like, or what I say is good or bad, it shouldn't affect you at all, right? These are just words coming out of a rectangle from a guy who is yelling into a rectangle somewhere else. Like, that's what's happening here. So no, you don't have to agree with me at all. I think that there, are different times, like, as you integrate yourself into a community, right? When it's like, especially when it's like a really, specific niche. Like, we exist, just liking pocket knives, that's one thing. And then there's like a sub-level of that. And it's like liking specific pocket knives. And then another sub-level down, it's where we are right now, right? I'm not just saying just the Metal Complex YouTube channel. I'm saying there's a lot of us who exist in this very specific community, right? User enthusiast, collector, having your ear to the ground for very, very ultra-specific things, for very, very ultra-specific reasons, right? That's where we are. My channel does not represent the vast majority of the knife community. I do my best to keep my arms open to everybody, right? But we are a teeny tiny little portion. If you've been here for a while, something starts to happen, right? And this happens with anything, especially music, right? The more, like, you remember getting into music and you're like, oh yeah, it's like, I'll be super honest with you, right? I'll give you a great example, right? I'm going to throw my lure out there with a hook, big old juicy worm on it. I expect somebody to bite, and I will prove my point. When I was growing up, for whatever reason, the first song that ever, like, lit me up, you feel that weird euphoric rush go up your spine. I have no idea. I don't even know what the name of the song was. Oh, no, I do. I know exactly what it was. Sweet Dreams. Sweet Dreams are made of these. Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? That one? I said that guy. I know it's a lady. For whatever reason, I just remember, like, sitting in front of the TV and it's like, best hits of the whatever. All your favorites out of there for 1995. Right? And I was like, what is that magic, that angelic sound, right? And I don't know why. It was that. And then immediately after that, I right then and there, however old I was like, oh, I like music because it makes me feel things, right? Immediately after that, the next song that did it was Gangster's Paradise, Coolio. I was like, man, ooh. So those two songs, right? And then that evolved into a really weird, but also not so weird, right? A lot of people would say, ooh, that's very odd, and you have a dynamic ear for music. Right, because the next stuff that I liked was very, like, pop, like Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears, Spice Girls, right? Oh my God, I can't even watch Metal Complex now because he doesn't have a specific refined taste in music, or didn't as a child. I grew up with my mom constantly playing. My mom studied music, and she plays the piano, the flute, the violin, the guitar, and she was always playing classical pieces, so I grew up with that. I also grew up listening to classic rock because my dad refused to change the radio station. Growing up, there was one radio station. It was classic rock all the time. It's just what it was. So I was listening to all this stuff, and I feel like my childhood is not that much different than any of yours, right? So this is probably something that most of us experienced, right? People like say, like, oh, I grew up with classical, so I'm a little bit different than you. Listen, there's a reason that music is popular. That's not that weird. Pretty much everybody grew up listening. Like, most people know, even if they don't know what the song is, they know what Moonlight Sonata is, right? Or they know what Requiem is. They hear it and they're like, oh, I know that song, right? So that's not that weird. It's also not that weird to grow up with classical or like classic rock, right? People are like, well, I'm different because I grew up with classic rock. Everybody did. That doesn't make you special, right? And also, it was totally common for people who are my age to grow up with Britney Spears and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls, right? Because that was pop music. That's the kind of music that people who love classic rock like to say, that's not real music. Classic rock is real music. And then people who really love classical like to go, classic rock is not music. All the best music that's ever been written is classical, and of course my taste is so refined. Of course I need to educate you poor peasants, right? People do that. You love to believe that what you think and your tastes are better than everybody else's. music just changed over time for me, just like it does everybody else. So anyways, my point, what's your point? Is that once you figure out where, I mean, nobody's right or wrong, right? If you're like, I still like pop music, my favorite artist is Taylor Swift. And then you got somebody else who's like, well, I'm only into like true heavy metal. Like it has to, like the truest, most pure form of heavy metal, and it can't be like this. Heavy metal is such a funny, like any rock or metal, there's like so many different subcategories, and people constantly arguing about, you know, the look and the scene and the background and the, you know, where the artist came from, and is the style, you know, is it overproduced? Is it no effects, right? And people argue, you're not a purist, man. No, I'm a purist metal. It's this, that's crap metal. It's hammer metal. It's black metal. It's thunder metal. Shut up. It comes down to this. Does it sound good to you? If it sounds good to you, then you will probably continue to listen to it and then tell yourself that this is meaningful and impactful and it's real, right? And it's better than whatever else you don't like. That's all it is, right? You become a purist in your own mind, right? Nobody's a purist of anything, right? Everybody likes like semi-fabricated things, even if it's just thoughts and emotions, right? It all comes from somewhere. You convince yourself that you're a purist, right? And so what happens sometimes is you evolve to a point where you feel like it is almost you don't actually think of it. It's almost a knee-jerk reaction to just not like the next popular thing. What you have come to like, what you have come to know and love was the golden age of whatever your experience is. And then when new things come out that, you know, you see large populations in the same niche that you enjoy seemingly moving away from the thing that you hold so dear and popularizing this new thing, the knee-jerk reaction is to go, well, it's not. Well, I don't like it. Well, it's not. That's dumb. And here's why, right? Some people do that. And they do it. Everybody has a friend like this, right? It doesn't matter if it's music or if it's like, you know, let's say that like you're talking about cars, like your group likes like the automotive industry, right? Or whatever. There's always one person who's like, the new thing sucks and what I like is better, right? They just automatically, they don't even know anything about it. They're just automatically just like, no, I don't like it because it's new. No. Right. And they go in and, sometimes I feel initially I'm like, that's how I want to react. And I'm like, no, because that's a really simple reaction, right? You should experience it, right? But you don't want to let go of that You've just like given yourself this very specific title, this very specific crown of purist, right? You label yourself a specific type of purist about this thing, and you feel like if you like the new thing that everybody else seems to like, then for some reason that takes away credibility, which is imaginary because it's really only you that cares about it, right? You can like or not like whatever you want for whatever reason, whether or not other people like it, right? Sometimes there are things that everybody likes that I hate. Sometimes and lots of times there are things that lots of people like that I go, yeah, that is good, right? That makes sense that so many people like this, right? And you try to keep an open mind. It's just gonna happen. The worst thing you can do is what I was just describing there, is just automatically hate something because it's the new popular thing, right? And we see that all the time, constantly, right? It's just people who are probably kind of miserable, and there's just this imaginary sort of like there's this imaginary sense of like evolved wisdom, right? I have spent X amount of time doing this and studying this and enjoying this, and I found what I like, and so now new things in this specific category cannot be good because they are based on, you know, fabrications, or it's pandering, right? This new music, all it does is just pander to this. I've said this about country music many times. New country is all about pandering, right? It's manufactured to appeal to the masses. Everybody has a friend like that. Yeah, sometimes that does happen. But also, you can know that and go, but I like the tune, right? I like the lyrics kind of suck. That's the same with everything. Even the stuff that you like, that you have convinced yourself is 100% completely and totally authentic, right? some level of events occurred. There was some level of fabrication or, catering or pandering because it was meant to appeal to a specific audience that got your attention, right? And then you convinced yourself like, oh, it's authentic. This is weird. What a weird episode, Complex. I'm still a little foggy on your point. The point is that it doesn't matter. Don't let me tell you how to be, but also let me tell you how to be real quick. Don't be somebody who just automatically hates something because it's new. Because oftentimes, especially in the knife world, we are surprised far more often, right? It's something that happens all the time is you look at something through a little rectangle and you're, I'm not going to like that. And then, as somebody who gets a lot of knives and looks at things and think, that's why I say yes to so many different things. If you guys watch my content regularly, you know that it's all over the place. It comes from viewers, comes from manufacturers, from retailers, various countries, stuff that's weird, stuff that looks really dumb, stuff that doesn't look dumb and ends up being dumb, stuff that looks, ugly and ends up being really awesome in person. It's because I just have, grown accustomed. I've started to expect to be surprised, to be pleasantly surprised, right? Sometimes that backfires, and that's, you guys see that sometimes, but coming from somebody who handles all this stuff, don't dismiss everything. Especially, you don't be that person who just dismisses it because it's part of this new, like if you, became a part of the knife world in a different decade, then obviously there are things that, like, here's something that I always hear. Oh, I'm so sick of these fancy front flippers. You don't need that. All you need is the thing when my knives open this way because all you need is to get, well, okay. But at some point, the thing that you used to open your knife, even if it's a nail nick, that was a new concept. And there was some old, some old fart complaining about that. Why does it even need to fold? Steel? What's wrong with iron? Iron? What's wrong with rocks? That obviously would have had different accents, right? But it's just my point is that you've just decided that you like something specific, right? I think it's also okay to go, I'm sure some people like it. Like, I think the best way is just go, I'm sure some people like it, but I'm just not sure that it's for me, right? And then you handle it and you go, yeah, I mean, sure. I get it. I get why some people, it feels, a lot of times people will refuse to acknowledge that it is quality, right? Because it is not catered to their preferences, it cannot be quality, which is hilariously ridiculous. You can admit that something is of quality and just isn't to your liking. And that's the case with the Sebenza. Thanks. Sure, it's well made. It is. I know that it's well made, right? In fact, there's a lot of proof that those things are nearly indestructible. And also the legacy of Chris Reeve knives is one of, it's shining and golden, and what I'm lacking the vocabulary to, say what I want to say about that. Yeah, all that. Great. Stamp of approval. In fact, the Sebenza actually does have a good review on this channel, and it's also a recommendable knife because I understand why it caters to people. I get that. It clicks, but I don't like it. It doesn't give me any sparks, right? It's just a windsock on a day with no wind. You ever seen that? You ever driven by a windsock on a day with no wind and it's just hanging there? That's a lot like what the Sebenza makes me feel. Just nothing. A thing that has one job and can't do it because it doesn't have the pieces of the puzzle are not there, right? And also the innuendo is, all that. Nothing. No feelings whatsoever. That's okay. But it's good to dissect this instead of automatically labeling something as it's not, this is a really misconstrued. I hope this is translating. I have to say that. So I feel like at the end of every Knife Guy episode, I'm always like, I hope this translates. Because I realize I've been talking for 10 minutes and I'm not sure that I'm still on the same subject that I was when I started. It's okay to not like stuff, right? I guess that's what I'm saying. Don't be the person who automatically dislikes things because they are popular, right? Don't shy away from popular things because you consider yourself a connoisseur of the different, the uncommon, right? Because you are likely celebrating something that absolutely nobody else even knows about, even realizes. Nobody else cares about it but you, right? Like, let me tell you something. To get back on the topic of music, I think one of the most argumentative, as somebody who loves heavy metal, and I won't go into the different genres because it will ironically just attract people who want to argue endlessly about, what a pure metal song in this genre is, this genre, etc. I don't want to do that. The metal community is one of the most argumentative communities, right? Just constantly. Tell me, right? Let's be like, listen, the guy who knows the most, right? His name is like Gizendolf, Charcontrum. It sounds like some sort of weird metal wizard that like lives in a tower in Norway. He lives in like an old obsidian tower on like the cliffs of Norway, and it's always storming. It's a blizzard storm constantly, right? That's as metal as I can think of, right? You might be like, well, you're obviously not a purist because you see like the pictures that are coming up in your head. If you were a real metal purist, you'll know that really ice and lightning have nothing to do with, the original, arts around it. Shut up! This is what I'm imagining. Whatever I call Archibald Wizengolf, or whatever I called him, the metal god, the all-knowing, the most pure purist in the entire world. Right? You got to meet him, right? This guy is like legendary, and he really does know. I'd be like, cool, I have no interest. I don't care. Was he like, I'm sure that he like really, he probably likes some specific stuff and like can give me history, but in the end, I'm still going to like what I like. Like if he plays something and I like it, I'm going to be like, yeah, cool, Archibald Wizengolf. That sounds pretty good. And if he plays me something that I think, sounds like a bunch of gorillas chewing on a 12-string guitar, but amplified, right? And then there's like, like an 18-wheel truck is like crashing into a building full of rubber chickens. Because sometimes metal sounds like that to me. If that's what it sounds like, I'm not going to be like, well, it's obviously good because Wizengolf says it's good. I'm going to be like, no, man, this sounds like hot garbage, Sounds bad. And that's how you should be, just like, if you like it, then like it. If you don't like it, then that's fine. Okay. Yay! Yay! Good episode! Yay! That's going to be pretty much it today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.